Well, good morning, Dr. Dorsey.
Good morning, Bill.
This is FNC's Morning View, and today we're talking about LIBOR. Sounds like a pig.
Oh, I thought we were going to talk about the Higgs boson.
Oh, a Higgs boson.
They
Wow.
just discovered, that's the big news.
Well, you're talking, okay.
There wouldn't be any mortgages, there wouldn't be any property without the Higgs boson.
So we're going straight to physics. We're going straight to physics today, okay?
Well, I guess we can talk about
the
that.
Wall Street Journal covers about as much physics as the New York Times does finance.
Yeah.
So I know what you read.
That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. Actually, I read both of them, but you get sort of the...
One is little words, one is big words.
Well, one's the content and the other sort of the humor,
Yeah, what is a cartoon? But anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, all right. So, things have been a little strange with LIBOR. Here we thought that LIBOR was this nice number that everybody could rely on, and it turns out that it was just made up.
And the thing of it is, for our listeners out there, LIBOR is the London Interbank Offered Rate, and basically, let's talk about how they should set it. I don't actually know how they do set it. Well, I don't think anybody else does either.
Well, I think there was an assumption anyway that it was based upon data, and so you actually look at the way that the rates that the banks did, and you average them up somehow, and you come up with a LIBOR rate.
And they have all sorts of different rates, right? They have like an overnight rate, and a 1 week, and a 1 month, and a 3 month, and.
But it turns out that what they did was they just call up and say, what did you set yours at this week?
What do we need? What do you need? It's sort of like an appraisal.
And, it's shocking, but sometimes they didn't tell the truth.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you think they maybe told what they needed to maybe help their book?
Absolutely, help their book or make some of their investments work. They said that there was a total of $500 trillion that was dependent in one way or another on the LIBOR rate.
It's not clear to me who wins and who loses if the rate is high or low. I mean, for example, at FNC, we have debt that is pegged to LIBOR.
Right.
If they said it was artificially low, so it appeared like they were more liquid and a better credit risk, that would help us.
That would absolutely help us.
But
people on the other end of that money that we're sending it to might not like that.
They might not like that. In fact, it's a zero-sum game, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody wins and somebody loses by an equal amount.
Right.
Well, there were hearings in the British Parliament, and we got to see on the BBC and on C-SPAN Bob Diamond, former CEO, who he actually, he was educated at University of Connecticut, got his MBA at University of Connecticut, finished top in his class.
Whoa.
They started at Morgan Stanley. I bet when he was coming up, they called him a diamond in the rough.
That sounds good.
But he was making something like 83 million pounds a year. It's amazing.
That's a good salary.
That's heavy salary.
Yeah. I think he was a little bit shocked that he got fired. Not only he got fired, but Marcus Angus, who was the chairman, and
they brought him back though.
Jerry Delmeister, the COO, they all got let go at one point.
That's because they pled guilty to basically, I say pled guilty. They paid a fine, but I'm sure they didn't plead guilty.
Yeah, but in the U.S. they do it differently. If you're the CEO of a big company and discover that you did something bad like that, the normal scenario is that you fire a bunch of subordinates and you forego your bonus that year, and everything's okay. Start over.
But the board terminated him.
Yes.
And so, basically, let's talk about LIBOR and its impact, and really how that affects corporate debt, mainly corporate debt. Mortgages generally are not tied to LIBOR.
No, but loosely, there's a relationship between the current mortgage rates and what LIBOR is. But I think that the more relevant
we just realized how loose.
Yeah, well, but the more relevant issue is a lot of these types of things are done on the basis of hearsay, essentially, in terms of the rates that are set or the prices. You don't know for sure what they are. There's no central exchange. It's a phone call, and then
Thomson Reuters compiles them, basically for the British Banking Association. They all send them into the British Banking Association, and Thomson Reuters publishes those. I misspoke. The British Banking Association compiles them, and Thomson Reuters publishes them. It's official at 11 a.m. London time and published at about 11:45 London time. And it's supposed to be basically, for lack of a better term, an average of, although it's not technically an average,
Right.
but an average of the rates that are submitted.
Right, and they're submitted vocally, and essentially they're basically says, someone calls up and says, this is what the rate was we charged this week. You
Well, if
know?
I'm paying, I'm gonna call up and say it's zero.
Right, and so, but it's not just LIBOR. There's a whole I mean, any of the a lot of the swaps, are done the same way. There's no price visibility. Mortgage-backed securities. How would you know what the real price is on a mortgage-backed security?
You hire a third-party consultant to do the pricing analysis.
If they can get it. And how do they get it? They call the bank up and say, well, what did you pay for that? Well, they may not tell you
Or
the
they look at
truth.
the last trade of something similar,
But
if it exists.
it exists, but how do you get that information about what that trade is? You call someone up and you say, well, what did you pay for that? And they may tell you the correct number, they may not tell you the correct number.
And theoretically, you would double check that by the party on the other side of that trade.
Right, yeah.
What did you sell it for?
Exactly, yeah.
And the two would
Maybe
match.
there's a difference there,
Might be. There obviously was a difference when they were setting LIBOR, right?
Right. The Commodity Futures Trading Commission in the U.S. has proposed a new rule that would force all of these types of transactions to go through a central electronic trading.
So they're in the
platform.
open.
Right. And the House has two committees of the House have passed a bill that would stop them from doing that. It failed on the House floor, but currently it's being considered to be attached to the Department of Agriculture's appropriations bill to try and get it passed through that way so that it would eliminate that. It's puzzled why they want to prevent that open transaction, that information, because that would make it much more efficient.
Well, there must be some big donors on the other side of that trade who...
Bill, you shocked me.
There's some big donors on the other side of that trade who are making enormous profits.
Maybe some traders.
Exactly. Well, it may not be traders. It's hard to know who's on the other side of the trade.
Well,
it may be a hedger. You could have a hedger on the other side of the trade.
Right. Anybody that can leverage that big gap between the ask and the spread, basically the spread.
The bid-ask spread,
Right.
that big
Anybody that can use that money, the information can
trade inside of that spread.
Right, can make a lot of money.
Absolutely. That's why insider trading is illegal, because insiders always trade inside the spread.
Exactly.
And so we say that's not good. But as long as it is legal, so we don't have price discovery. When you have insider trading, you have price discovery by one set of participants and
Not
no
the other.
price discovery by the other.
Right.
And so you have trading on the inside of the spread. However, if we come back to LIBOR, it was supposed to be a situation where once they were published, we all traded by the rules.
Right.
It appears as though people were finagling the rates so they could trade like they wanted to.
Exactly. Make sure that whatever the thing that was based upon the LIBOR rate was moving in the direction they wanted it to move. And so,
Well, it was low after the big crash in 2008. The 30-day LIBOR and the 90-day LIBOR was very low.
And that was to, I think, in large part, to make the bank's balances look a little bit better.
Absolutely. That we don't have to pay as much to borrow the money because we're very liquid.
Right.
And so, how do you think all this shakes out?
Well, I think that there's definitely going to be some scrutiny on that. I think that probably the LIBOR rate will change in the way that is generated, and it will actually be based on raw data instead of comments.
Does it erode the confidence in bankers and banking?
Of course it does. It's just another a big hit, black eye on banking, and we've just had a whole series of those. And it's just going to push for more regulation to try and control that sort of thing. If we didn't keep having these things, there probably wouldn't be some big demands for regulation, But when there's no regulation and people keep making these kinds of mistakes or illegal activities, then it's not good.
So the pendulum goes to and fro, and now
Exactly.
it's going toward regulation.
Absolutely.
Clearly going toward regulation in the case of LIBOR.
Right. Absolutely. And maybe along with that for a lot of the other types of securities that are traded in a similar manner based
Now,
on price discovery.
Let's talk about U.S. Treasuries. Now, they're longer term. Of course, we have bills, notes, and bonds. But let's talk about notes and bonds. We have very clear and consistent price discovery in the U.S. Treasury market.
Exactly. There are auctions that are run, and they basically announce that there's going to be a bulk of treasuries sold, and they announce what the interest rate on that is going to be, and they open it up for auctions.
Price discovery is always good unless you're on the other side of the trade where it would benefit you not to have price discovery.
Really?
Yeah. All right. This is FNC's Morning View. I'm Bill Rayburn with Bob Dorsey. You all have a fantastic day.